You ever walk into a house and feel it watching you? Not just creaky floors or drafty windows, but something deeper, like the walls themselves are alive, holding secrets they're dying to spill? That's what happened to Sarah and Ethan when they inherited Willow House. A dream home, they thought, a fresh start. But some houses don't let you start over. Some houses want you to stay forever. Sarah and Ethan were city kids, burned out by rent hikes and 80-hour work weeks. So when Sarah's great-uncle passed and left them Willow House, a sprawling Victorian mansion in the middle of nowhere, Maine, they saw it as a miracle. 3 stories of carved oak, stained glass, and history. The kind of place you'd see on a postcard, surrounded by gnarled willows that looked like they'd been clawing at the sky for centuries. The lawyer said it had been empty for years, but it was theirs, free and clear. They packed up their tiny apartment, quit their jobs, and drove north, chasing a quieter life. Their first night in Willow House was October 31st, Halloween, because of course it was. The air was crisp, the moon a sickle slicing through the clouds. They laughed about it, joking about ghosts as they hauled boxes inside. The house was grand but worn. Peeling wallpaper, dusty chandeliers, and a faint smell of mildew. Ethan, ever the optimist, called it character. Sarah wasn't so sure. Something about the place felt heavy, like the air was thicker inside than out. They were unpacking in the master bedroom when Sarah heard it first. A whisper. Not words, not yet. Just a soft, rhythmic murmur, like wind trapped in a pipe. She froze, her hand on a stack of sweaters. "Ethan, you hear that?" He was halfway under the bed, wrestling with a loose floorboard. "Just the house settling," he said, voice muffled. "Old places talk." Sarah nodded, but her skin prickled. The sound wasn't coming from the pipes. It was coming from the walls. By the third night, the whispers weren't just noise. They were words. Fragments at first, stay. Mine, forever, slipping through the plaster-like smoke. Sarah woke up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, convinced she'd heard her name. Ethan slept through it, snoring softly. She shook him awake, but the whispers stopped the moment his eyes opened. "You're stressed," he said, pulling her close. "New place, new noises, it's nothing." But Sarah saw the flicker in his eyes. He'd heard something too. They tried to ignore it. They painted over the faded wallpaper, scrubbed the floors, and blasted music to drown out the quiet. But the whispers grew bolder. They followed Sarah to the kitchen, Ethan to the attic. One night, while Ethan was fixing a leaky faucet, the walls hissed, "She's not yours." He dropped his wrench, face pale. "Okay," he admitted, "that wasn't the wind." They called a contractor, thinking maybe it was bad insulation or air vents playing tricks. The guy walked through, tapped the walls, and shrugged. "Solid as a rock," he said. "No pipes rattling, no drafts. You sure it's not mice?" Sarah wanted to scream. Mice don't whisper your name. Mice don't know your fears. That night, the walls spoke again. "He'll leave you." Sarah clutched Ethan's hand, but he was staring at the ceiling, eyes wide. "It said my name too," he whispered. Desperate, they dug into the house's history. The town library was a musty archive of yellowed records. Willow House, built in 1873, had a grim past. Its first owner, Elias Willow, vanished after his wife died in childbirth. The next family, the Graysons, lost 3 kids to accidents in the house. In the 1920s, a recluse named Margaret lived there alone until she didn't. Her body was found in the cellar. No cause of death. Every owner after either fled or disappeared. The librarian, an old woman with trembling hands, leaned close. "That house doesn't like company," she said. "It keeps what it loves." Back at Willow House, things got worse. The whispers weren't just words now, they were personal. After the library, Sarah couldn't shake the librarian's warning. That night, while Ethan slept, she crept to the attic, flashlight trembling in her hand. The air was thick with cobwebs and the scent of decay. Amid the cluttered trunks, broken chairs, a cracked mirror, she spotted a leather-bound diary wedged behind a beam. The name Margaret was etched in fading ink on the cover. The same Margaret from the records, the recluse who died in the cellar. The pages were yellow, the handwriting shaky. Margaret's entries began innocently notes about the house's beauty, the Willow's grace. But by page 10, the tone shifted. "The walls speak," she wrote. "At first, it was comfort voices of my lost family. But now they demand. They know my sins." Sarah's stomach churned. Margaret described sleepless nights, the walls pulsing like a heartbeat, faces pressing through the plaster, begging her to join them. One entry read, "I tried to leave, but the roots, they pulled me back. The house loves me too much." Ethan found Sarah hours later, hunched over the diary, eyes wide. "Listen to this," she whispered, reading aloud. "October 12th, 1923, they showed me my death. A knife, my own hand. I can't fight it." Ethan grabbed the book, skimming ahead. The final page was smeared with what looked like blood. "I go to the cellar tonight. The house promises peace." A crude sketch showed a mass of roots, faces screaming from the walls. Sarah dropped the flashlight. The attic felt smaller, the whispers louder, as if Margaret's voice joined the chorus. They stumbled downstairs, but the diary's words lingered. Ethan muttered, "Maybe she's still here." Sarah glanced at the walls. Were they closer now? The house seemed to hum, a predator savoring its prey. That night, the whisper shifted, mimicking Margaret's voice. "You'll see it too. Your end." Sarah clutched Ethan, but his grip felt cold, distant. The diary had unlocked something, a connection to the house's hunger, and time was running out. "Sarah, you're weak." The walls sneered as they stand in the hallway. "Ethan, you failed her," they taunted while he worked in the study. Objects moved on their own, a vase sliding across a table, a door locking itself. One night, Sarah found Ethan standing in the hallway, staring at a blank wall. "It told me you're lying," he said, voice hollow. "About what?" she asked, dread pooling in her stomach. He didn't answer. The house was turning them against each other. Sarah started sleeping with the lights on, but the shadows seemed to move, forming shapes, hands, faces, eyes. Ethan grew distant, spending hours in the attic, muttering about fixing things. She found him one night carving symbols into the floorboards, circles and lines, like something out of a ritual. "The house showed me," he said, eyes wild. "It's trying to help us." Sarah backed away, heart racing. The whispers laughed, a chorus of voices now, old and young, male and female. "He's ours," they said. "You're next." She couldn't take it anymore. Sarah packed a bag, begging Ethan to leave with her. He refused, clutching a knife he'd found in the attic, its blade etched with the same symbols he'd carved. "We belong here," he said, smiling in a way that wasn't his. She ran to the car, but the engine wouldn't start. The willows outside swayed, though there was no wind. The house's front door creaked open, inviting her back. Inside, the whispers were a roar. "Stay," they demanded, echoing from every wall, every floorboard. Sarah stumbled to the cellar, the one place they hadn't explored. The air was thick, sour, like something rotting. In the dim light, she saw it a mass of roots and vines, pulsing like a heart, embedded in the dirt floor. Faces pressed against the walls, not plaster but flesh, writhing, moaning. Elias, Margaret, the Graysons, all trapped, their eyes pleading, their mouths whispering her name. The house wasn't haunted. It was alive. It fed on its owners, weaving their souls into its walls, keeping them forever. Sarah screamed, but the roots shot up, wrapping her ankles. She clawed at the dirt, but the whispers drowned her thoughts. "Join us," they sang. "Be home." Upstairs, Ethan's footsteps echoed, slow and deliberate, the knife in his hand glinting. Sarah's last thought was of the willows outside, their branches clawing at the sky, forever reaching. The house had won. It always did. Willow House still stands, waiting for its next guest. The whispers never stop. They're calling your name. Will you answer?